بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله الأمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We move on and we're still in the chapter that deals with marriage from the series on Umdatul Ahkaam, hadith number 312. Who will read that for us? Okay, Akhi, go ahead.
Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhu reported, when anyone who has already a wife marries a virgin, he should stay with her for 7 nights and then begin to divide. And if he marries someone who is not a virgin, he should stay with her for 3 nights and then begins to divide. Abu Qulaba said, if I wish, I can say that Anas directly traced it to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Now, the hadith is again differentiating between 2 types of women. A virgin and a woman who was previously married. And Abu Qulabah is the narrator who reported it to Anas ibn Malik. And he said in the end of the hadith that if I wished, I would have said that Anas had directly attributed it to the Prophet ﷺ. This means that we have 2 types of hadith. This is not the issue. But in mustalah al-hadith, in the sciences of hadith, we have 2 types of hadith. Hadith marfu' and hadith mawquf. What is the marfu' and what is the mawquf? The marfu' is the hadith that the Prophet said it ﷺ. And the mawquf is the hadith that the companion said it. It's not the words of the Prophet ﷺ. So in this hadith, Anas narrates that it is part of the sunnah. Now, he didn't say that the Prophet said so and so and so, ﷺ. So saying it is the sunnah from a companion means that this is attributed to the Prophet ﷺ. He is the one who tells us what the sunnah is and what is not. So what is the ruling? The ruling is, if you marry a woman, but you have a wife or more, we know that part of being fair is to divide the nights equally. So if I have a wife and then I married a second wife, I have to divide a night here, a night there, or a week here, a week there, or in some extreme cases, a month here and a month there, as in the case of someone who travels between 2 cities and he has 2 houses. So he spends a month in Mecca and then he goes to his wife in Medina and spends another month there. He has to be equal. But in regards to the wedding night or what follows, the Prophet is telling us ﷺ, because the second wife has rights and she has to be happy in her marriage. So the Prophet says ﷺ, if the second wife is not a virgin, a widowed or a divorcee, in this case, I, as a newlywed, may stay with her 3 nights. So my first wife would not see me for 3 nights. But if she's a virgin, I may stay with her for 7 nights. And that's in the very beginning of the marriage. A Muslim's relationship with his wife, he's always kind to his wife. He's always helping with the chores in the house. He's always giving her presents and trying to make her the happiest woman on earth. Likewise, the wife is doing the same with the husband. This is the ideal, and this is a sign of a person's commitment to his religion. If he does not have this in Islam, then he's not a proper Muslim, unfortunately. So this is how the Prophet ﷺ divided it. 3 days for a previously married woman and 7 days and nights for a woman who was not married before. And the difference is obvious. She, as a virgin, she wants to be happy in these 7 days, enjoy her new life and get to know her husband more. A previously married woman is not entitled or not deserving, because she knew men before that through legitimate marriage, so she knows how to get acquainted with her new husband, inshallah, and then it goes back to normal. 1 day here, 1 day there, depending on the agreement. Moving on to the following hadith, hadith number 313.
Narrated by Ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, reported that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if anyone amongst you intend to have intercourse with his wife, he should say, in the name of Allah, O Allah, protect us against the Satan and keep away the Satan from what you have bestowed upon us. If a child was ordained from them, Satan will never be able to do any harm to him.
Okay, this hadith is part of the etiquettes of intercourse or intimacy. And the Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, that one must say this supplication, this dua, and the scholars have different opinions regarding the last statement, which says that Satan would not be or will never be able to do any harm for him or to him. And we should take it as it is, instead of going into many details by saying that Satan would not cast upon this person any plague, because the plague is a disease and it is the cause of the jinn, as in the hadith. So at-ta'un, or the plague, is caused by the jinn, by the devils. So one would say, okay, so whoever says this dua, the jinn will not be able to do anything bad for him. Others say, though, whoever says this dua, then the child would be preserved from shaitan's whispering, etc. But whatever he would initiate, it would be from his own side. There are so many interpretations, and it might be the safest thing to just believe in it as it is. Now, the dua is said only by the man, not by the wife. And the dua is clear. And the beauty of Islam is that everything you do, you are connected to Allah Azza wa Jal. There is dua when you go out of your house. There is dua when you ride your car. There is dua when you enter the marketplace. There is dua when you enter the toilets to relieve yourself. There is dua when you come out, before you eat, after you eat, before you go to bed, when you wake up in the middle of the night, when you wake up in the morning. So many things that are actually, I would not say brainwashing you, it's heart washing you. It is washing and cleansing your heart with dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal. And that is why when you find someone always and constantly remembering Allah and mentioning Allah's name, you'll find him to be fearing Allah, always doing what he's supposed to do, being honest, being practicing. And when you find someone all the time singing and listening to music and far away, finding him heedless and neglecting remembering Allah, you'd find him easier and closer to sin. Do you agree with that? This is normal. This is human nature. The more you are connected to Allah, the further you are from sin. That is why if someone has it in his system that he fasts Mondays and Thursdays every week, you will find him lesser and lesser from falling into sin than those who do not fast. Why? Because twice a week he fasts, so whenever he sees something haram, he says astaghfirullah. Whenever someone turns something music, he says astaghfirullah. He doesn't listen. After a while, this affects his system. Even if he's not fasting, he will always stay away from haram things. So this dua, which is a beautiful dua, tells us that if you do this, if you say it with conviction and in belief in what Allah Azza wa Jal has promised you and the Prophet ﷺ has given you the glad tidings of, and there are no obstacles, and you say it with conviction, then this would happen inshallah, and Allah would protect your offspring by this dua. Do you have any questions? Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam to Allah.
Is walima fard?
Is walima fard? Is having the feast or the food when getting married a must? No, it is not. It is highly recommended, but we cannot say it is a must And we will get a hadith of Abdurrahman ibn Auf, may Allah be pleased with him, when the Prophet ordered him والسلام, to have a feast or to slaughter a sheep and invite people to it. But the most authentic opinion that it is highly recommended, it is not mandatory.
The dua which is mentioned in the hadith 313, should we read in Arabic or any other language we know?
A good question, and I will answer your question inshallah after the break, so stay tuned.
A servant is not afflicted with any punishment greater than having a stiff heart and being away from the Almighty, the Compassionate. Hearts are God's vessels on the earth. The most beloved ones to Him are the softest and the most purest. If hearts are nourished with God's remembrance and quenched with His meditation, it will witness great wonders and deep wisdom. Since our hearts are enlaced with layers of oblivion, we need to cleanse them to stand sound and pure before Allah. To know more, join us on Peace TV's new series on healing hearts, where we can join together the caravan of the sincere servants of Allah.
Let's try and purify our hearts from all destructive sins to taste true success in Healing Hearts. Every Thursday at 6 p.m. and repeat telecast at 5:30 a.m. Saudi Arabia on Peace TV. Peace TV presents over 100 million viewers at one of the largest peace conferences in the world, addressing a sea of spellbound spectators. Over 30 world-renowned orators on Islam with credentials impeccable.
The truth of Islam.
Deen is your way of life.
It is our duty, our obligation.
By following the Quran and Sunnah,
we will give the message to one and all.
With articulation exquisite.
Read the book of Allah.
Islam is the easy way. It's the simple way.
Remind each other.
The Muslim is not a source of harm for other people.
Collaborate with the people for good.
This is the call of Islam.
With the mission of spreading the truth of Islam.
Do what you can to spread the word of Islam. Wherever we are.
Live like Muslims.
Use your power.
Allah is saying, why do you need anything else? This Quran is self-sufficient.
The only book on the face of the globe, the Quran.
How a human being should lead his life is given in this instruction manual, the glorious Quran.
For peace to prevail on earth in Peacemakers. Next on Peace TV.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. Just before the break, the brother asked a question and he said that this dua, Bismillah, Allahumma jannibni shaitan wa jannibi shaitana ma razaqtana. Is it to be said in Arabic or can we say it in any other language? The dua are divided into two types. Du'as that we are taught and told to say it as it is. Then it has to be said in Arabic. For example, in Salat, when someone makes ruku', he says, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim wa bihamdih. Or in sujood, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la wa bihamdih. And he may add few things. Tashahhud. At-tahiyyatu lillahi was-salawatu wat-tayyibat. We have to say this all in Arabic because this is how it was prescribed. But the Prophet tells us, alayhi salatu wasalam, that when you are in the sujood position, choose whatever you wish of dua, because you are as closest as possible to Allah, and Allah would answer your dua. So now, this is not mandatory. I want to make dua. Can I make it in English? Can I make it in French? Scholars say, if you know how to ask Allah in Arabic, you must ask Him in Arabic. For example, I want Allah Azza wa Jal to guide my offspring. And I know that in Arabic it is Allahumma hdi abna'i. So I have to say it in Arabic. But if someone does not know Arabic and he's unable to say it in Arabic, he doesn't know, and he wants Allah to pay off his debts, and he doesn't know how to say that in Arabic, in this case, it is permissible for him to ask Allah to pay off his debts in English or in any other language. Now, this dua has been prescribed as it is. It is like adhkar at the morning and the evening. When you say, Allahumma ajirni min al-nar, this is in Arabic. The Prophet told us, do I say, oh Allah, protect me from fire? Oh Allah, protect me from fire? Do I say, for example, A'udhu bi kalimati Allahi tammati min sharri ma khalaq, 3 times in the morning and the evening? Do I say it in English? No. This was taught to us in Arabic. We have to say it in Arabic. And the dua was taught to us in Arabic, and we have to stick with it in Arabic.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
Is celebrating, or rather giving presents on the anniversary or birthdays allowed or haram?
The question is giving presents to my wife on our anniversary forbidden or acceptable? We look at the guidelines. Now, you want to give your wife a present. What's the ruling on that? Halal. Giving her a present today, giving her a present tomorrow, after a year, after 3 months, it's halal. But when we come to the issue of Eid, and when we come to the issue of celebrating something every year, what's the ruling on that? We ask, where did we get this anniversary stuff from? From Abu Bakr, or from Abdullah ibn Abbas, or from Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, or from Abu Hanifa, or from Tom, Dick, or Harry? We got it from Tom, Dick, or Harry. We got it from the kafir. Therefore, Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, says that the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever imitates a people, a nation, a group of people, he is among them. He's considered to be among them. And therefore, we are not allowed, we're not permitted to imitate the kuffar. And not only that, by the way, what's the meaning of Eid? Eid in Arabic is anything that comes on and on again, whether it is time-bound, every month, every year, or location-bound, meaning that you go to that place every now and then. And that is why the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, لا تتخذوا قبري عيدا. Do not take my grave as a frequent visited place. You always go to my grave. No. Because people would do shirk. Once you go just to visit, second time, 10 times, 100 times, then you say, oh, Prophet of Allah, do this and that for me. This is shirk. And it can be time-bound. So when we have an anniversary, when we have birthdays, all of these are time-bound and they come on and on again. Celebrating them would become an innovation and part of imitating the kuffar. A man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, oh Prophet of Allah, I have pledged, I took an oath to slaughter a camel as a sacrifice in a place called Buwana, a location. So the Prophet said, ﷺ, is there an idol to be worshipped? And the man says, no. So the Prophet said, do the mushrik have a Eid? Yani meaning, do they have a celebration or a place that they visit usually there? And the man said, no. The Prophet said, Islam, fulfill your oath. So anything that comes back again, this is not permissible for a Muslim to celebrate it. You have 360 days. Only this day you choose to give her a gift? No. give her a gift a month later, a week later, but not to mark and commemorate this as an anniversary, because this is part of the celebration of the kuffar, and Allah knows best.
Can you explain the concept of khula?
Okay, the concept of khul'. Separation between the spouses can happen either through divorce or through what is known as khul', or to be enforced by the judge. Divorce is known. A man does not want his wife, he divorces her. Separation by the judge happens when a woman files a case against her husband, whether he doesn't pray, he's a kafir, and the man admits that he doesn't pray, or because he abuses or consumes drugs and alcohol, or for him being vicious and abusing her and torturing her and hitting her every day and night. So the judge looks into their case and says he's not worthy, and he separates them by force. Khul' is a concept where a woman does not want a man, does not want her husband. Divorce me, he says, I will not divorce you. So she does not want him because of any other reason that she may have. Maybe she doesn't like his smell. Some sisters come and say, I cannot stay with my husband. He smells. He doesn't shower. He's not clean. He's not hygiene. Seriously. And sometimes this is known. You go into the masjid and say Allahu Akbar, and then you faint because of the brother did not shower for 6 months maybe. And he's Muslim. What are you doing? You have to be clean. You have to smell nice. A Muslim always smells nice. And that is why people eating garlic and onions are forbidden from entering masjid. You get someone next to you, غير المغضوب عليهم والضالين, he says, Ameen. And everybody in the masjid is on the floor, protecting themselves from the smell that comes from his mouth. This is haram. So she has legitimate reasons. I can't live with my husband. I don't have any reason religiously. And he prays, he fasts, but I don't love him. He smells, he's rude, we have no chemistry, and he refuses to divorce her. What to do? In this case, she may pay him compensation to free herself. And this is the concept of khul'. So if she agrees with him and says, listen, I want 2,000 rupees from you, or 5,000 euros, my mahar, my dowry, which you agreed upon and you did not give it to me. So give me my divorce and the money is yours. Don't give it to me. And the man says, okay, this is good. So I don't have any debts. If he agrees, then she has separated herself and bought herself from him. In short, this is the concept of khul'. And there is a hadith supporting it. We will come, inshallah, to discuss it later on. Yes, sir.
Yeah, the hadith is very popular among the people, that they say that whenever invoke talaq, whenever somebody invokes or tell talaq, the arsh of Allah shakes. So it is a sahih hadith, daif?
No, this is not an authentic hadith. This is not a sahih hadith. Talaq can be forbidden and it can be mandatory, depending on the situation. If there is harm on the two and he's not divorcing, there's no legitimate reason for keeping such a marriage. He's harming her and she's harming him, then divorce becomes mandatory and highly recommended. Which brings us to the ruling on the 3 divorce that was mentioned previously. What's the ruling on if someone divorces his wife thrice or 3 times at the same time? Some of the brothers are nicknamed as Kalashnikov, AK-47. Why? Because it says talaq, 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 talaq. It's like a machine gun. And this is haram. You are not allowed to play with divorce. Divorce is 3 times. So what is the ruling if a person says to his wife, you're divorced, 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 5 times. 3 for Islam, 2 extra from my side. I just don't want to see you anymore. This is haram. How many times does divorce take place? Only 1. So whether he says you are divorced 3 times, or he explains it, divorced, divorced, divorced. Oh, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you. This only takes place one time. And this was the ruling at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. It was also the ruling at the time of Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, and at the time of Umar, a portion of his life. But then when people started taking it easy and using it excessively, he implemented that whoever, as a warning, whoever says to his wife, you're divorced 3 times, I will make this final divorce irrevocable, as a punishment. And the majority of scholars consider this to take place following Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, that if a man divorces his wife thrice at the same time, the divorce takes place 3 times, irrevocable. Yet scholars such as Ibn al-Qayyim, Ibn Taymiyyah, and scholars who look for the most authentic opinion, such as Ibn Uthaymeen, Ibn Baz, may Allah have mercy on them all, they say that it takes place only as one divorce. May Allah Azza wa Jal protect us from divorce and what leads to it. This is all the time we have until we meet next time. Fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.